Bet you didn't see this coming. Coming back, match 2, right now, you know. Too quick sometimes out of the gates. We were talking about that earlier. And I went and practiced my sprinting outside, so now I'm sweating. It wasn't the spicy bean soup I just ate. But look, match 2 coming up very shortly. It is going to be a banger, Peace and Legacy. And it's Legacy's time to shine because they are so far down on the leaderboard and they've come so close so many times. We want to see them win. The question is when, and is that going to be today, Rusty?
Well, the question has to be, will it be today, right? Because it kind of has to be. If they want to, like, again, it's really important. We haven't mentioned this much, but the higher you place in the standings, the better it is for your team, obviously. But it means, like, to the point where you might get an extra chance in the playoffs, right? So really crucial that you not only get in, but you get in as high as possible. So every win is important. They've brought in Why Not as well to play, so just keep that in mind. They have switched him up, and he's not playing mid lane, guys. He's actually playing his main role. So we do get a chance to see the real Why Not the ban Kiana and watch him flex with everyone. Craziness.
Yeah, I wonder if we get to see something a little bit different from the jungle. Obviously, Sybil good with certain champs. I dare say Why Not will have his own pool, which could open up Legacy for a different couple of strategies. Obviously, you know, at the sacrifice of the experience. But even so, you know, going up against the likes of Peace, they're going to need, well, pretty much anything to get over the line because everyone's figured out, you know, oh, we're going up against Legacy. Let's just get rid of the cat, get rid of the Yone, and then all of a sudden, the game just seems that whole lot easier. Now, speaking of Peace, Skimmy, you want to run us through their lineup before we get into the middle, to the big talking points of this match?
Yeah, Peace doing fantastic, right? Couple of blips on the radar with 2 different defeats, but ever since then have bounced back to a formidable status. We've seen them showcase that, hey, we definitely are more than the Violet show. Definitely plenty of players that are best in their class. Been really impressed with how Appy has been since switching back to the top lane position and his ability to hold his own and pretty much play everything unique. What a dream for a coach, right? Just to have such a expansive champion pool like that. Aladoric on his game, insane, especially on his Rakan. Really allows Violet to play so aggressively, but I'm always so interested to sort of see the switching in and out in this jungle department, how Lisa and Kevy have molded and sort of what they bring to the table, but the sort of competition it brings, because we see them switching in and out interchangeably, but it hasn't really changed the overall theme for Peace, which has been true for a lot of these players for a bit of time now, which is aggression that is refined into the mid game to allow them to be in a situation like second.
You know what we have seen, though, from Peace the last couple of games is some proper angry gaming.
For sure.
I feel like they lost one and then they're like, oh, I'm absolutely sick of this nonsense. They've just started playing individually, getting solo kills more and more, right? Like I think it was this game where the Spectator had a hard time keeping up because everyone was solo killing everyone everywhere all at once. So, I mean, I think we've seen a bit more angry gaming from Peace, and it's not just Violet, but it's still Violet that's popping off.
If there's anyone that knows about angry gaming, it's Nat T down on the sideline. She's seen all the anger, all the frustration from all of the gamers down there. I know you yourself are not an angry gamer, Nat. You're usually quite pleasant to play with. But who do you have down on the sidelines?
Well, look, hopefully they're not going to be too angry in this interview, but I am going to be talking to Why Not and Lisa. Thank you both so much for joining me. Why Not, I want to start with you first. You know, this is your second game in the LCO. We didn't get to talk to you, unfortunately, in your first one. So I want to know how you're feeling coming into this game and, you know, what does it mean to you to be playing tonight?
Yeah, well, I'm feeling pretty good. I think my first performance was pretty disappointing for me. It was quite shocking. I'm just getting used to, I guess, the pressure and how to approach these games. But I feel like I'm feeling a lot better this week, and I'm really keen to get back on the Rift and see what I can do.
Oh, that is so good to hear. I'm very excited to see what you're going to pull out this game. But Lisa, you're also a player that has been subbed in and out with Kevy. I want to know a little bit more about the team and the synergy that goes on and how you guys share practice time and all of that.
Well, this week the team decided for me to play the first 2 games. It turns out like very well. Like the early game was very good. So I'm playing another game on Friday. That's it. So I get all the practice this week.
That's it. You showed up in the first 2, so they want you for the 3rd. I also want to ask what you think has been your biggest personal improvement throughout this split.
For this split, it's definitely like the early game communication, because like from last year, my team was like was there for being the best early game team, but fails off really hard for the late game and middle game. So this split, I'm trying to like get better in the early game to make sure like we can have a clean game.
And what about you, Why Not? What have you really learned or think that you've improved on a lot from the last time we saw you play?
Since the last time, I'd say I've kind of brushed up on my consistency, both with kind of impulse control to consistency in play. So if we say we're going for something and we understand we're going for something, I can make sure to be on board with it. So definitely pre-planning, and I think that's changed our gameplay as a team quite drastically for the better.
Awesome. Well, I won't keep you both any longer. I'm very, very excited to see what's going to be happening in the jungle this game. But thank you both so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The jungle, dangerous place to be. I know from matches and matches of experience. Usually it goes pretty all right for myself, but then someone will fight on my team with someone else. They'll leave, and then I lose. And I've had, I think, 5 out of 7 games in the last 2 days of losing to teammate, to the mental battle, mental warfare that is our own teammates in bronze. But look, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about this game because speaking of mental gameplay, sometimes Peace, they do have a little bit of issues mentally. We've seen it a few times where they just kind of lose themselves, you know. They lose the gameplay that you expect them to be, you know, putting on the board. And then from that point, just goes downhill. So they can't seem to get themselves out of that divot. And look, because of that, let's bring up the predictions and I'll tell you mine. It's not Peace.
It was all set up for this, wasn't it?
Probably. Look, it's all for the entertainment. And look, I dare say I'm going for the underdogs from now on because it's the only way I'm ever going to catch back up to everyone. There's no point going the same direction as you all. And look, yeah, 31-10. Oh, big whoop, all 3 of you. And you're going to be on 32-10 after this game, maybe. Who knows? But Mac may just be on 26-16. And that's the storyline I'm writing.
I mean, is it worth going for the underdog to try and catch up if it puts you further behind? And that came off a lot more rude than I intended it to be.
Look,
nah, roll with it.
Being rude, completely fine. Have you not heard what I've been saying for the last 5 minutes? It's completely...
that is also true.
Straight into a hole with Mac. You know, throw him away, lock him up, throw away the key. But look, let's have a quick chat about Esports Assessment Labs. Nat, you love to check on your reaction time and your cognitive ability. I know Skimmy and Rusty, they both do as well, and I dare say we're going to be doing that on the sidelines. And look, we're trying to catch up time, so me and myself and also Nat and herself are going to be jumping to the sidelines because it is time for the Champ Select. Boys, take us into match 2.
Thank you very much there, Mac. Well, let's jump into this one here, Rusty. Let's figure out the story because it is a bit of a big one, really. You know, Peace having already qualified for the playoffs, they've already guaranteed their spot. Now they're playing for seeding. For Legacy, they are on the fringes, right? They've definitely got Gravitas and Mammoth hot on their heels, looking to try and keep their dream alive. Whereas the other teams across the mess in the middle of the pack are starting to say, yeah, a win here or there, and we feel pretty good about our strength of schedule.
Yeah, while Peace have risen above, they want to try and retain that second place position in the ladder at the very least, right? If there's mistakes from Pentanet.gg, which who knows, there's 4 games left, they're within touching distance in that respect. But so far, find consistency, find form, play your last week and this game like you're going into playoffs, right? You shouldn't be able to like take anything away. If you expect a Legacy versus Peace matchup with both in form, Peace should just clean house. But that's the difficulty of playing a team like Legacy, right? You don't actually know how to handle them as well as perhaps other more predictable teams, as this is the the solo queue squad through the mid jungle, and the fact that it's Why Not instead of Sybil does bring about the question of how much more normality will we get, or is Why Not even further down the path of no return solo queue play style?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point you raised, right? I mean, there's no better proof than the bans we're seeing here so far, right? With the Yoni and the Katarina always going to be a target towards Incursia. We raised the question earlier today, what would happen if, Nidalee was on the cards, being seeing it more and more overseas, especially when Lilia's been taken off the board. But one of the players that can play the Nidalee would be Why Not.
Yeah, so Why Not definitely picks up his Nidalee. Again, very excited to actually see the Nidalee. I do think it's a great champion right now. We will start to see more of it I would expect that usually it'll be because there's bans on the junglers, however, and there's only the Hecarim gone, so Udyr easy pickup on Lisa's side of the coin. Now, Lisa was an insane Hecarim the other day.
Yeah.
Legit just like went 1v9 the entire map all at once. So I'm not surprised to see that taken away from him. But still got a strong pick. We look towards the rest of the champions here as well. The flexibility of the Tristana being on red side could be significant skimmy as we go through the draft.
Certainly could be, and it is worth noting that Tristana has been let through the drafting phase, right? The fact that Legacy have decided to target Violet on Isaiah, he's had some insane performances on that champion, holds some of the best farm on it. He's definitely popped off on it, and it tends to be one of the most prevalent bans against Peast as a whole. But the fact is, Tristana is insane on this patch as well, can be flexed around, but we've seen that Violet, if given the ability to pilot, will justify its existence. Much like an Aphelios, will smack through turrets and delete them in a moment's notice. A couple of bans though. The Alistar first and foremost to try and target the rail, as we see be a common support pairing, but the Sylas adding another layer of complexity to try and ban out Incursio.
Exactly, yeah. 3 bans now towards Incursio. Where does he go is the question that you have to bring up. Now, Syndra being banned by Legacy away from Halo. Halo is a very prolific Syndra player, but he still has other options. You know, if you wanted to go the Orianna style of play, that still exists. Looking towards what Incursio would play, he is on blue side. They haven't revealed the mid lane matchup. So this is maybe the hardest point in the draft for a player like Incursio. Do you just blind Yasuo, right? Like, do you like throw that type of gauntlet and say, I'm just comfortable on this champion? Or is there something that he's willing to play that fits into the composition, a la like maybe a Kali or something, you know?
It's a good question, because right now they have a composition that wants to hit the double tap, wants to get in your face, and wants to really get aggressive there with the Frostbite passive of Braum. The Kaiser makes sense, the Lucian makes even more so, and it just means that if the likes of a Udyr and Ornn run towards you, it's going to be very hard for them to guarantee that they can get the engage working in their favor. You can see that now Halo, with all the time in the world to find his matchup, is deciding, is it the Twisted Fate angle or is it the Orianna?
Yeah, Twisted Fate's an odd angle where you could just run Cleanse on the Lucian and be hyper-aggressive at your moments, and there's really not a lot you could do as the Twisted Fate. He's going to switch that one, considered the Orianna, good wombo, but Lucian can dash around you early levels again. Victor's one of those champions where you can actually hold your stun, run phase rush, and if Lucian ever dashes, place the Chaos Field down, get your phase rush, and just sprint on out of there if you need. At level 6, of course, you can also cancel the culling with the ultimate of your own if you have the Chaos Storm there. So I don't mind the Victor pick. I actually think it works nicely with the rest of his comp. They've got hyper carries, they've got scaling, and they've got frontline. What more could you possibly want in a team comp, Skimmy, for the side of Peace?
Be very content with this one. It'll be the first time that he's played this Halo, so looking to try and tap into some of the magic that Victor provides with a ton of scaling. Seems to be the common theme that I'm finding here from Peace, right? Victor, insane in the mid lane if he finds himself with a lead. Appy, we know how proficient he has been already, and able to dish out the items. He will be there to collect those side waves notably as well to ensure that all those ornaments will go around to the boys. And then the Tristana has been let through, and it seems to be this continued theme now where the likes of Praedyth and Violet are, you know, they might be targeted in one aspect, but definitely allowed to continue to play these insanely meta AD champions.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you've got your Xayah being banned away for this team. You've also got the, I believe it's the Aphelios constantly being banned away from Praedyth. So they each have one champion where everyone's saying, you can't have that. And then they just go to the Kaisers, you know, go to the other standard meta things. The Tristana definitely is. And I've mentioned this before, Skimmy, but while it hasn't been performing its best in Oceania, we've seen insane 1v9 performances in Korea and in China as well, with the Tristana specifically in the AD carry role. So it's always exciting to see this one. And of course, last time we saw Peace play, Violet was on the Trist pick. They were duo killing bottom lane on cooldown. It was insane and they were popping off.
Be interesting to see, because as much as Tristana is good at popping off, it can disengage, it can jump in, it can do it all. Big shoulders, or big weight, I should say, on Emilk's shoulders here is the bomb to try and stem that aggression and pop off with his passive. We'll get a chance to speak to the coach here from Legacy as we welcome back Ceres. Hey mate, how are you?
Oh, hello.
Hey, and I want to start by asking. We brought back in Why Not here. He's already had a game of experience, but this time a little bit more conventional. So speak to me a little bit about his influence and sort of the differences between himself and Sybil.
So the reason why we brought back Why Not is because I think that Why Not's playstyle suits very, very well into PCEs. So there's basically he gives the team a lot of really, really good direction going forward into the mid game, and that's obviously something that we struggle with in general. Is that once we acquire our leads, then we sometimes just we throw it away once we build our leads. I think Why Not does a good job of solidifying the direction for the team and making sure that we're a bit more stable.
So would it be fair to then say that he's a pretty vocal member on the roster to try and lead that direction?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. He's definitely an extremely vocal person in general, both in and out of game.
And I suppose leading from that, then I want to change the tune around. We've sort of seen the strength of schedule and how teams coming into this one got teams that have already qualified, like your opponent here today in Peace. Knowing where you're at right now, where it's definitely a very realistic chance of getting into that playoff spot. You know that Gravitas and Memphis below, you still have that dream alive. Does this add any extra pressure, or are you just looking at this as another game?
Yeah, no, it definitely does add extra pressure for us. We really want to make it into playoffs, and we think we have the capabilities of doing so. Every game is extremely important, especially since, I believe, because Order beat Chiefs. So that adds extra pressure for us to actually upset one of the top 2 teams. We couldn't get it done with PGG yesterday, but hopefully today's our day.
And I wish you the best of luck with that one as well.
Thanks,
Talk to me a little bit about, on a final note, talk to me a little bit about some of the players and sort of their interaction coming into their first competitive season, right? You know, the upgrade for the likes of Winter or Why Not, you know, Incursor coming in from solo queue as well. What's it been like for them these first 4 weeks of play?
Yeah, I think this has been really intense for them, actually. This has really been unlike any other season in the past. So any kind of preconceptions they might have had of how a regular OPL, I guess LCO season in this case, might play out is just completely gone. So yeah, having this kind of like really, really congested schedule is difficult for everybody involved. And I think it's even harder on the people who are just rookies just coming into it. So they're just really just thrown into the deep end. But I think they're doing really well to adjust to it. For sure, actually, they're doing really well.
I hope that they do really well here again today. Thank you very much for your time, Series, as we jump into this one. And I'll throw it back to you, Rusty.
Yeah, I do actually just want to quickly touch on the last statement that Series made there as well, just because it's super influential to the state of the ladder and the league in the first split here, right? It's congested. It's super weeks every week at the moment to try and make MSI. And as a result of that, I feel like there is a distinct advantage to the teams that are currently winning in our league. Just because, one, they've played together before. You know, if you look at your PGGs, they are familiar with each other. They're familiar with the game. They're experienced. You know, a team like Direwolves can actually make that week-on-week turnaround, where it's hard to do that if you are a Gravitas or a Mammoth who are finding their feet as well as trying to find form. So it's a pretty crucial point that I was thinking about myself earlier today, and I'm glad that got brought up because then we get a chance to. As for the game itself, Skimmy, there wasn't a whole lot that did happen. Both junglers started on their red side camps. They've now flipped the map full cleared. They've gone back to their red side Krug second spawns. They were very much aware of where each other were as well. Lisa was on a ward, but they were actively pinging out Why Not's exact position constantly. So nothing really possible for the junglers otherwise. And in terms of priority and farm, you can see it on the bottom of your screen as well. Pretty much even.
Pretty much even, and we can see that as you touch on the junglers, their ability to try and influence this map state. And it'll be interesting to know exactly where they go. We already know that the Nidalee-Renekton pairing is so devastating between the stun, spear, pounce, and execute. But whether or not he looks to try and match Lisa on the board here, we may be looking to try and get Halo Unleashed as early as possible. We've already seen Aladoric spend a bit of time roaming through to the mid wave, seeing if they could try and find an early action. But already TP's being burnt here by these two mid laners to find themselves that first item spike.
Yeah, so again, like, as far as priority goes, is maybe the one thing we didn't highlight too much of in the draft phase itself. Lucian, you would expect, does have a lot more prio early, but he took a really strong trade, lost most of his health for it and had no mana, so he was always going to teleport back. Easy to then match if you're Halo, and good recall timings for him overall. But it does mean there's not going to be a lot of mana available for the Victor. So for priority, if it's a slog, if it's a long, prolonged laning experience, then the Lucian starts to come out on top again. Looking at the bot lane 2v2, Rel is able to engage unimpeded by a Braum. Let's hold that.
Yeah, both trading ultimates in the mid lane right there. As you can see, Incursor gets the better half of him, and especially when shadowed by his jungler too, to ensure that it was no flash shenanigans or Lisa coming out the woodworks there. But he's distracted trying to take his Grump right now, and he's got his eyes set on looking at this first dragon, which is what they've picked up, an Ocean Dragon to start things off with. As Why Not might just come back mid lane again and crash the wave to get another recall.
Yeah, I mean, a spear actually just skimmed the cheeks of Halo as he was running away. It was very close to maybe finding the lethal there, but it wasn't going to happen in the end, thankfully for Halo. The dragon, as mentioned, is just taken completely for free. You've also got your Boots of Lucidity rushed here for both junglers, and it's never going to feel normal for me to look at an Udyr and say, that's a Boots of Lucidity champion. But everyone is a Boots of Lucidity champion right now, Skimmy. It's an insane item. It's 900 gold, so it's really easy for junglers to full clear, go back to base and just pick those boots up and be on the map with strong scaling from the ability haste that it gives. I think they're broken. Wouldn't mind a little bit of a nerf on them.
But I was giving my exact point. I know how outspoken you are about.
If they copped a nerf.
Well, that's it, right? Bring back the Ninja Tabbies, make them go back to the Mercury treads, right? The fact is, you know, these are bruises or skirmishes that are basically saying, why not have more CDR? Why not have extra summoner haste so that we can continue to flash, that we can continue to, you know, get in your face?
But do you know why I hate them the most? I actually think that there is competitive utility in this, right? Like, if I play Leona as... Oh, we might have an engage. We don't. Okay, I can continue my point. If I pick a Leona, no one builds Merc treads anymore, so I'm happy. You know? Like, it gives me a distinct advantage now just because Boots of Lucidity are good. However... It also means that at the same time, my teammates aren't building Merc treads against Leonas, so I hate it.
It's the double-edged sword, right? The benefit, but the con at the same time, realizing that, well, that might work for me, but it's definitely going to work against me as well. And CC stacking them can become so damn oppressive and annoying to deal with as a result. But it means that we get to see a little bit more aggressive League of Legends as a whole. There, as you touched on that, potentially engaging the bot side, and that's the strength of the Tristana pick, right? The fact that if you're looking to try and collapse, you can just rocket jump to safety and shrug off any signs of adversity.
You do have to buffer the jump, though. You have to be very careful against certain champions. You know, Braum can cancel you, maybe, but it's not the Rel on the other side. Trist is pretty safe, as that's a lot of damage.
That is a fair bit of damage, absolutely. Ultimate goes on out. Why Not thankful that he's playing Nilly, can pounce out of harm's way, and Cursor cops a few beatings to the face. And Lisa then takes the opportunity to say, well, thanks for the blue buff. I know exactly where you are. They might cross paths. He just flashes on his head, hits her with the bear slap. Run stun, and job is not done. As he now looks to try and turn his attention towards Incursio, went rushing to his aids. And now we're just going to have a bit of a scrappy skirmish in the topside river. Winter pops the ultimate, finds himself first blood. Halo hits him with the question mark ping, and 9 minutes in, it's Legacy get the other hand.
Yeah, Winter with the really key roam there as well. You know, the top laner comes down. It's a guaranteed stun, which is the one thing that's really missing from their champion pool. It's one thing that's important to set up for the Nidalee. We mentioned this at the very start of the day, actually. But at the same time, you know, the Udyr jukes into the spear, which secures that execute. And so at the end of the day, good spears, good little first blood, teleports bottom.
Yeah, TP's coming out here, but it's going to be Winter that gets to the fight first. He's got double buff, but no ultimate, so decides I don't want to pull the plug right just yet. And especially when Call of the Forge God is there to cancel out any trades. Peace have made a really good trade for this first blood that's gone against them, right? The fact is they've managed to crash in bot wave and then pick up 2 turret plates whilst baiting out teleports too.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if Violet's getting advantages, that is good for Peace. That is always something that you'll be able to say about that squad. At least, so I think might have just revealed himself for a hot second there also as he walked through towards mid lane. So Halo spots that one. There was pings straight away. Also a control ward in the river after that Scuttle Crab is taken. Can be looked towards potentially. Never mind. We're going to invade again. Lisa, you know what? I did say invade accidentally, but while we're looking at this fight as well, he has been commanding the jungle. So the fact that they're able to get this pick at all is crucial for the side of Legacy, because if this blue is taken and Why Not's forced back to base with 0 HP, maybe just lights out for the jungle difference in this one, but they stand resilient. Lisa still with a strong advantage though.
Certainly has a strong advantage, as you can see there from the camp clear differences. And you raise a really good point, right? The fact is, one, it's invested a lot more time trying to find ganking angles, especially in the mid lane, and trying to get Incursio ahead with this AD pick. You know, we see a lot of AD champions in Incursio's roster for a mid laner, which can be a little bit odd given the current nature of so many AD junglers, as we touched on at the start of the day. But that has been the trade-off here. That's what's allowed Lisa to find success. And now he runs to the bot lane looking for a lane gank because the spear connects. Violet buffers. That's beautiful there. Now he's in a bit of trouble. Emil jumps in, hits the glacial fissure and knocks everybody up. But that's a fully charged explosive shot, and that's why not falling on down. Exhaust doesn't matter. It's already been burnt. He gets a double kill. And this is why Tristana is strong.
Yeah, Legacy look to make the play, right? They've got full control, 2 control wards in their tri-bush and in the river, so they think it's a free chance. But Lisa's read the play and is so far ahead of that play that he's able to just walk in, lane counter gank, and perfect setup there for Peace. They get the doubles, the jumps come in from Legacy to try and engage that one straight into a rel stun, and now the Dragon is consolidated afterwards also. We'll see this one more time because, you know, the spear is great, but the fact that the spear just is followed by a dash in sets them up to take Why Not out first. You've got the resets, the exhaust runs out, easy double kill there for Violet.
And it looks so frustrating, as you can see from the minimap of that replay, that Incursio as well on his way to rotate. Halo wasn't bothered whatsoever. Even Winter is there to cover and catch mid-wave as a result too. So a solid idea and comprehension from the squad of Legacy, but unfortunately for them, the execution just not paying off in their favor.
Still, it isn't not going to deter any aggressive moves from Why Not whatsoever. This Nidalee still looking to be very aggressive. He's in topside tri-bush right now. And while that is true, he is still being tracked by Lisa. Anything you do, I am following you. And with Alidoric hovering Lisa, there's a soft bait once again.
Worth noting, though, that Alidoric doesn't have his ultimate, but one person that does is Halo, and that's going to force out the flash from Incursio. Just out of range, the stun won't connect. They'll turn their attention on towards Emelga instead. And they will deter each other from finding any extra aggression. As the Herald is being picked up here by Why Not. And Violet, well, he's having so much fun right now. A very early Kraken Slayer. That's another turret plate. There's another TP angle. They're really trying to make sure that this guy does not get too far ahead. He's going to flash first, then he's going to buffer the jump across, make sure that he does not get stunned by Brom passive, and you just can't kill him.
And they give him 60 gold as a reward for escaping, Skivvy. They say, congratulations, you made it out. Have some bloody money. Herald's going to be summoned top lane as well. So they are trading for what it's worth on both sides of the map. Legacy look for a gank. They also Herald top. Some turret plates will go. But Lisa, once again, has the Nidalee on a leash right now. Just knows exactly where he is at all times. And at the end of the day, while the gold is nice, the extra gold into the pockets of the Nidalee and the Renekton is great. How were they going to stop the snowball of Violet, who is clearly getting out of hand? They just tried and failed. Look
at this. I mean, this is the biggest proof of the fact that they can't even defend this wave right now. They don't want any interest in fighting whatsoever. And he's essentially shredded all those turret plates before they fall on down in 30 seconds. With the looming threat, the double ultimates there from Peace 2, the all-in potential is very possible. And with TPs having been burnt, it was the Halo that had the advantage if they were to contest.
I mean, here's what does matter for what it's worth. No summoners available for the Tristana does mean that any repeat attempts to these side lanes, you know, if the teleport from Winterer comes up and they're able to use that to influence it, it's possible. You've got Rift Herald spawning in 1 minute roughly as well, so they could look towards some kind of map rotation here if you were Legacy. The turret's already going. So I would say there's no harm in just accepting that reality, looking to set up for the Rift Herald and trying to make a play comfortably through that positioning on the map. You know that Violet will probably be flipping the map to match you, but doesn't have the summoner spells, right? So that could be a window.
Certainly could be a window. As you can see that Udyr popping his head into bot lane just to ensure that turret does fall on down. Legacy reading that with the vision that they had as well to ensure that if anybody were to stay around, that they could then try and find a catch as a result. And it's worth noting that despite Lisa having this insane start to the game with all the farm, that Why Not's done a fantastic job of catching up here.
Yeah, there's been a lot of play around Winterer and Appy, and when you take that into consideration, Winterer was a lot stronger. Did have the kill advantage, had the doubles for a bit of time there as well, and it also means that Why Not's able to play from neutral territory to defensively. So gets that slight edge, you know, maybe one extra camp every time he shows somewhere and Lisa responds. It's also like he is 5 seconds ahead of Lisa often as well. So has been able to do very nicely for himself, you know, catch up in a bit of that farm. Credit to him for Why Not to be able to bring this back. Lisa's still very powerful, however, and has a distinct advantage right this second with a finished Mythic.
He does, and he hasn't just stopped there. No, he's gone for the Dark Seal. He wants those AP ratios as a Phoenix Udyr. He wants to try and snowball, as does Why Not. No surprises as you'd imagine, very gold efficient item if it finds those stacks. But it's the risk you take with a Tristana. If you give it across to your opposition, if they had the rotations on lockdown like this, they are crashing waves, they are pushing structures, they are guaranteeing fights work in their favor and more economy for them to play around with. There's the TP, Rusty. Might see our first 5v5 of the game.
Yeah, but Winterer has to base first before he teleports in because he's half HP and he's been forced out by the better movements of... He's staying. Contesting this is almost losing the game. So I'm not sure why he stays at all. They've just... The decision-making from Legacy was clearly lacking in that moment. And if you look at why, you know, why would you contest that when your Renekton's half HP? Well, why is your Renekton half HP? It's because you've misplaced your lane assignments, right? You've got Styled and Melg sitting mid lane and Victor happily clearing waves instantly. So the Tristana's able to poke him down, and now the Herald's taken, instantly summoned, Dragon also available for them, and a single moment of decision-making through macro just gives Peace everything.
Look at the cost, as you quite rightly say, the inability to contest, the fact that another structure falls on down, the second of the game, and the ability to rotate from the top half of the map as a unit down to pick up this Dragon. That's going to put Peace on a soul point as well, worth noting. Really accelerates the tempo in their favor and forces Legacy into a situation where they've got to decide, do we fight now or do we wait? There's the Dominus has already been procced as Winter looks to try and dive into the backline, looking to go in towards Violet, who's still got his Buster Shot, bear in mind, still healthy and protected. And Mel puts up the door, but the door gets slammed shut. The Dragon's being picked up. There's the first kill found here by Halo. Multiple members of Peace are low. Legacy just need to find a moment to execute upon. The spear goes wide. Winter jumps in. He jumps out. He survives. The runes are popping off. There's the double kill here for Incursio. The man is popping off. I don't care about the Dragon, but they pump out the damage. And they secure themselves a skirmish win.
And they pick their moments, Skimmy. They play it brilliantly. The smallest amount of health is the difference maker between that skirmish being right or wrong for Legacy. But it goes right. 3 people fall. Halo is going to defend the mid lane turret, so they're not going to get objectives beyond that. The Drake still goes the way of Peace as well. You can see Lisa, as this fight starts, is prioritizing staying on the Dragon, staying in the pit. Halo forced to flash away. The engage was great from Winter and forces multiple summoners and abilities from the Tristana. And Why Not goes in, and it looks like suicide, but he has that stopwatch, which is the difference between perhaps winning or losing that fight. So clutch from Legacy across the board.
It was clutch, and you can see what it means to them when they get the damage uptime. Just look between Incursio and Star, the itemization they've gone for, the Armor Shred, the Kraken Slayer on lockdown. The fact is the likes of Lisa and Appy that want to be that solid frontline to lead the charge with the Chem Tank as well as the Sunfire are just getting obliterated in a moment's notice. And you know, Violet wants to be, you know, tucked behind, able to output and hit the rapid fire, but they are finding themselves in a situation now where this game is very close despite the soul point looming here for Peace.
And another teleport in. This time Winter are using it to hold the top wave, perhaps just push Peace away. You know, Violet was visible right near that wave and it only just left, so I think he was just looking for an opportunity, but they don't find it. And I think a really key point here as well, Skimmy, is the fact that they've not stopped looking. Since the first minute in this game, I feel like you've seen a member of Legacy considering a play. You know, we've had teleports from Incursio to his side lanes as he loves doing. We've seen a lot of movement from Winterer coming down as well, level 3, stopping Lisa and invading, engaging constantly for them as well. Like, across the board, I feel like we're seeing Legacy say, the way to win this game is on our terms.
Certainly seems to be that way because in terms of macro, Peace are running this joint, they're showcasing that we're going to be the first team to hit those 3 towers. We're going to be the one to open up this map and find those flanking angles, those disengaged moments, and those abilities to pop off and shine. But Legacy not willing to give this one up for free. Winterer might be in a spot of bother as 3 members from Peace ensure that that is going to collapse in their favor and prevent any retreat. As Incursio now gets hit by the knock-up. Call of the Forge Guard proving to be decisive. Flashes over the Everfrost, sidestepping the Chaos Trap. Hitting the culling, but the angle isn't clean. He just needs to get hit by the Q. One auto would do it, but the Q will find it. And the shutdown is there for Appy.
Yeah, I mean, Halo does decide that he doesn't want to use his ultimate at all after it misses. Just gives up on the R button completely. I mean, gets pushed away from the culling. So for what it's worth, Incursio tries his absolute hardest to stay in that one. But Appy was never looking like slowing down by any means. After the ultimate had connected, I was pretty much close to lights out for Incursio, who tries but cannot succeed in escaping the inevitable.
And to be quite frank, he played it pretty beautifully. I mean, dodging out as much as he could, just needed a few extra bits of movement speed to juke out the hammer that came from Appy as it cycled through. But regardless, 20 minutes into this one, P's going to be feeling quite content with how this is going. Despite it being a rather close game in terms of skirmishing, they will be up by 2k. A minute to play for the soul point. Extra movement speed, plenty of benefits for them as a whole to find. And vision control seems to be on lockdown as another TP comes out here for a Baron play now by Legacy.
Yeah, they've gone straight for it. Bold call. Peace clearly sniffing this one out, though. You know, they know something's up here. They've got a ward in the pit now, but it's already half HP and it's going down quickly, Skimmy.
Yeah, this is the threat of a double AD carry setup right now. They just shred through that one. They've snuck it. They picked up the Baron. Now the 5v5 ensues. That's a two-man knockout. Both the bruisers locked in place. Both the bruisers gone before the fight can even really take place. Now the squishy members with their Baron buff can't do anything with it. They're running to the hills. They're running to protect them. And Peace have done what they've been after, really. They've denied as many as they can. There's only 2 Baron buffs that remain here.
Yeah, it was Legacy that sneak it, right, but they weren't going to be able to sneak it in time. The fact that 2 of them get out with the Baron buff is a win, considering who it goes on as well, but you have to look at what the cost will be at the current moment. There's the mid lane inner tower is going to fall here. There was 3 kills as well given over to a snowballing Peace who was starting to get levels into Violet, starting to get gold into the pockets. It's also a Cloud Soul given over. That's the second bloody Cloud Soul denied as well, Skimmy. Free for Peace. Makes you wonder if that trade was ever worth it, but it does take Baron off the cards completely, which slows the game down.
It certainly does, and it will buy them some time to at least catch these waves and put Peace in a situation where they have to respond and buy themselves a little bit of extra time to play around the likes of a respawning Baron or an Elder, as we can see from the timers in both corners of the screen. 5 minutes to play for. That will be the question on their mind right now. Can we look to try and find ourselves in a situation where skirmishes work like such and we aren't just, falling down and being shredded in a heartbeat? Because the fact was, both Imelga and Winterer lights out in a heartbeat.
If you can take out Halo or Violet, maybe it's a winnable team fight, right? You still have to be able to have control somehow over one of those 2 members, and Tristana's got the Summoner spells back up, is now 303 with 2 completed items, and Halo also has his flash available, doesn't have the Zonias yet, and I don't think we'll have it anytime soon, but Incursio, he's
in
caught.
So much trouble, yep. The Chilling Smite catches him out of position. He knows that he's not going to survive this encounter. They hand the kill across to Violet. He's now 4-0-3, and they find themselves in a situation now where, sure, we've got the Baron buff, and we've denied it from you, but you're still able to find the fights that work in your favor.
Yeah, silver lining, it wasn't a Baron user, so it does still make pushing a little bit more difficult for the side of Peace, but the numbers advantage makes up for a lot of that. The fact they have an Ornn for long-range engage as well is a significant factor here in their attempts to look for these structures. And you've also got Halo knocking on the door of the mid-lane inhibitor. So they have to answer that one, which just gives a lot more time. Removes the entire jungle camps away from a Nidalee that wants to keep farming. Definitely starting to slip away from the Legacy squad.
Certainly feels to be that way with Kraken Slayer and Phantom Dancer. He has so much attack speed right now. Pops the rapid fire and those turrets fall on down in a heartbeat. 5 turrets to 1. Full reign at the top side of this map right now. It really does belong to them. You can see from the vision control as well, all these control wards being dropped down to really keep this part of the map dark and locked out. Legacy going to feel quite scared now to respond to these side waves, especially top side, to find themselves any extra bit of power before these next 2 massive neutral objectives come up and spawn.
Yeah, 100%. I worry that if Legacy continue to get caught in side lanes, they might just lose the game before the objectives even become a prevalent feature in terms of setup and how they're going to continue to play this game through for Peace, because they have been so willing to go towards those side lanes. You know, they have been very willing to just get priority mid, disappear onto the map and catch you farming. Very capable of doing that as well, worth highlighting with the composition they've got. Tristana jumps with a rel jumping on your face, and suddenly out of nowhere, you just get RKO'd.
It feels that way, as Legacy will be hoping to do that themselves. You've got a Black Cleaver here on the Renekton and double LDR between the both of these AD carries. So if they get uptime on the likes of Lisa or Appy, they may just melt like butter. But that is an idea. It's the execution that we'll be looking at here as Winterer hits the TP. It will be a full 5v5. He's going to face check into the jungle and realize that's not the angle I'm after. Hits the slice and dice. There's the stride breaker. He just dies on the flank. Peace is fully turn and commit towards him. And that's a 4v5. And Legacy looking to try and pull the trigger. Well, for them, they now have to back into the base and hit the turtle switch instead.
Yeah, the teleport was questionable, perhaps just trying to defend his team. The pathing was terrible. He's not going to be able to do anything in that position when they have no control. Peace, they'll find the 4v5. They catch out the Renekton. They start to push on this mid lane. Give it 20 seconds as well, and you'll see top lane start to crash also. So if they can synchronize these waves, which they are a little bit off, but if they could synchronize those waves, that could have been an inhibitor perhaps threatened. At the end of the day, they just take resources from Legacy and say, thank you very much, we'll have those, and then continue to try and threaten.
Oh, that 2-man knock up into a 3-man Magnet Stormer after that. That was beautiful, and they really know how to execute these moments. As that's going to be why not jumping into the fray of things with the last bit of mana, is able to disengage on out. Retains his flash, but that CC combo will be enough to guarantee that mid lane inhibitor will fall on down, and Peace have done enough damage now to disengage and look at the map and say, we've got major buffs to play for here.
Yeah, just generally clean, solid play from the side of Peace throughout most of the members here, right? The fact that the people who have died on their squad are the tanks is a clear indicator that they've been playing this out well, and that's against the aggression, you know, from Legacy. You could say that Legacy have, you know, found an identity of trying to force chaos on your opponents, trying to force pressure on your opponents super hard, and that is one of the downfalls of this game, right? Is that Peace have met it, matched it, and prospered just because they are such a classy team when they get going. It's mid lane again.
Oh no, Lisa runs him down with a chem tank there. That's a 2-man knockup from the Call of the Forge God, and adds insult to injury. Headbutt them into a wall, lights out. 3 members fall, and with the inhibitor having already been destroyed moments prior, it's a 2-man base defense, and Peace are just looking to end the game at the 27-minute mark here.
Yeah, they're certainly looking to try and end this right now. They're engaging.
They certainly are, and as soon as they engage, they find blood. They take him down. Why not? He finds that moment. He gets the second game here in the LCO, but it won't be a dub, unfortunately, as they will find themselves a delayed ace. It's a flawless one. Not a single member of Peace will fall on down. The execution is clean. The carries, they haven't died. They've been popping off, and now they can hit those waves. Trim the KDA, pad the stats, end the moment, and showcase why they are the team currently sitting in second spot here.
Yeah, keep them stuck in the fountain if you'd like as well, but an easy victory in the end, Skimmy, for the side of Peace. You know, there was a lot of curveballs thrown at them. There was constant attempts from Legacy, but every single time they attempted, they weathered the storm. Peace, they came back stronger for it. And that one big moment for me at mid-game, which was just quite simply lane assignments and set up for the objectives, that Legacy faltered, and that was it, right? They gave Peace an opportunity, and they legitimately just ran away with it. 3,000 gold lead out of nowhere, and the game was theirs.
Yeah, and I suppose, Mac, really more than anything, that's a bit of a textbook example of what snowballing looks like. Right place at the right time, they collapse in an area of the map, and the decision-making isn't matched by your opposition. And as Rusty says, you know, you're able to go from one half of the map to the other and just claim pretty much everything and guarantee that this game is one for the taking.
Yes, I agree.
You.
I was just waiting for the perfect moment to slide back in, you know. I was just making a little bit awkward. Skimmy's like, why's Mac not coming in?
Where is he? Come on.
I was cleaning my moustache or something over to the side. But look, we're clean. We're looking good, even though some people in Twitch chat seem to think a completely different thing to that. Whatever, that's a conversation for another time. But this game, yet again, another one where Violet decides he just doesn't want to die. He's so good at staying alive through all the team fights, not giving up that juicy bounty, and just pushing his lead every single time. And I just want to add, Rusty, I love him on this Tristana.
Yeah, he's been exceptional on it, right? That's 2 games in a row now. He has been going off. He is showing why the rest of the world is successfully playing the Tristana in the AD carry role, not just in mid lane. And it has seemed to have found its natural habitat down there, and, you know, just barely scraping away, like you note, Mac, a few times in these fights. Of course, he's not putting out the maximum damage. He may not be dying for these plays, but he has the trust in his team as well, as they're often able to do a lot of the work with him, beside that one fight that just timed perfectly that was on our screens just then.
Yeah, look, while you're chatting about what's on our screens, I think this was the turning point as well. Legacy, after that team fight, had a slight advantage. You could call it at the 20-minute mark. Of course, they had lost a few objectives at that point. Couldn't get any of the dragons. Nothing really going their way. Even with the Baron, yeah, that was great, but you mentioned it as well with the 3 kills that just enabled the snowball to keep on happening. And look, from that 20-minute mark, when Incursio went down, it just went further and further the wrong direction for Legacy. And look, 7 minutes later, Peace just running it straight down mid, straight into the base and finishing things much earlier than I thought it would have happened, considering how the first 20 minutes played out.
Yeah, I mean, for me, quite honestly, Appy really popped off in this game, right? He's playing a tank. The itemization towards him was to shred him. He went for the Fallen Male Rush and thinking, sure, in theory, this could be a way of, him jumping in and, falling down quite easily. And there was a moment like that, but they were far and few between. You just look at the highlight there, and you're just seeing multiple members getting knocked up on repeat, being unable to play the video game, being unable to really do too much. And then it loops back into the factor of Violet just being completely unpunished on this Tristana. From laning phase, ungankable. Multiple times they put resources and effort down there towards him. Comes into these team fights, he's popping off, doing massive amounts of damage. He's playing side waves, catching you, forcing you to make weird decisions, which result in that Renekton being at 50% and not being able to contest. And they just took so many structures. This is the, amongst all the strengths that Tristana has, one of the main ones. And, the map just belonged to them.
Yeah, it was just crazy as well. And I think this is the first time we saw Appy go for the double up. That's the second time he's played Ornn, I believe. So, still, it's the end. It's the end of AP's champ pool. So, even so, was that 11 champs deep? That's pretty damn strong. You can't complain about that one. And look, Nats, what are your thoughts on this one? You got the other win in the predictions again. I think you were having a good time challenging people to Tetris in Twitch chat. What's going on there? You think you're a bloody puzzle solver now?
No, okay, so the Tetris, I don't like to pick fights, okay? This has been placed upon me by one of Rusty's friends, okay? I play no part in this, but if we wanted to play Tetris, I'm down for a competition.
Right, look,
I'm down to win.
We can stack some cars, pack some bloody grocery baskets, see who can get the most in. I feel like that's better than just straight old Tetris. Anyway, who do you have down on the sidelines for us?
I am going to be joined by Halo for the post-game interview. Congratulations, Halo, on that win. It was a pretty interesting game to watch. I want to hear your thoughts about the Nidalee pick, though, and anything else in the draft, how you guys felt coming out of it.
I think as soon as Legacy announced they weren't playing the Scheibel, it was going to be a hard game. I think Civil is the X factor in their team. So once I heard the Scheibel wasn't playing, I pretty much knew it was a free win, to be honest.
Oh, okay, so you didn't really worry about the draft. You kind of just always had confidence that whatever it was, you guys were going to come out on top.
Yeah, no, we knew that Why Not Be Friends is like a Nidalee, like Andy. He just picks Nidalee randomly, so yeah. If without the Scheibel, they got no shot. They should sub the Scheibel back in.
Alrighty, look, they might be listening and they might take you up on that one. I do want to ask about the early game. It seemed pretty close for a lot of it, in golds, kills, all that sort of stuff. What do you think gave you the advantage to break away and just kind of take over this game?
I think we were really disciplined. We knew that comp was going to fall off a truck if they didn't find stuff. I mean, a cliff, sorry. They didn't find stuff early. So, yeah, I think our laning was fine. My laning was a bit rough, to be honest, but I made sure I didn't die to any ganks and made sure that they didn't find any angles to kill me. It was a bit close at one point, but as soon as they didn't get any early game leads and we have our champions versus their champions, I knew we would win the game for sure.
Okay, and can you walk me through the Baron play that happened as well? We saw Legacy grab Baron and then you guys were just right on top of there, ready to guess almost team wipe them.
Yeah, that was really random. I don't know why no one really thought they could do Baron that quickly, and then they did it, and we just said play for the fight, Baron's probably gone. And we just tried to clean up as many kills as possible. I didn't really care when they got Baron. They could have 8 Barons and their comp wouldn't win. So I don't really know what they're thinking with their draft, to be honest. It's way too early game focused. They already have good early games Legacy. That's the thing. They always play well in the early game anyway. So it's really confusing when they pick really champs that hard stomp early game. When I feel Incursio specifically is really mechanically good. So he usually finds random leads. So even when they got Baron, I still didn't really care. Our comp's just way better than theirs at that point.
Okay, well, I really appreciate you taking me through that one. I want to ask, is there any other words or thoughts or anything that you want to share with us about the game?
No, I just want to say sub in the Scheibel. That's all I want to say.
Alrighty, sounds good. Thank you so much and congratulations again on the win.
Thank you.
Why Scheibel? Is this an inside joke? Can someone explain it?
Because he
The
plays
sh-
Jace. He just plays Jace, bro, and he gets like the solo kills. He just pops off as if he's shy, and then yeah. I don't know.
No. It's the
I love
Shy from China. The Shy being a very good top lane player up there.
Yeah.
Jace is the point of similarity that you could start with for sure. But like, I think personally, what I interpret, and there may be other meanings, is the Shy could be insane or garbage, like legit on any
Right.
given day. And I think people have just interpreted the name towards Sybil, who can be the MVP or maybe the opposite.
Yeah, either ends of the spectrum. And look, similar to myself in that respect. Now, I am not only the GOAT, but I'm also the worst all the time. And, you know, I need to go stew on that. So I think it's time for a break. Match 3 should be coming up shortly, though, which could be a banger. You know, Gravitas and Mammoth battle at the bottom of the table. Who's going to come out victorious? Find out shortly after the break.
And now he runs to the bot lane looking for a lane gank because the spear connects. Violet buffers, that's beautiful there. Now he's in a bit of trouble. Imelk jumps in, hits the glacial vision, knocks everybody up. But that's a fully charged explosive shot, and that's why not falling on down. Knock it, they picked up the Baron, now the 5v5 ensues. That's a two-man knockup, both the bruisers locked in place. Both the bruisers gone before the fight can even really take place. Now the squishy members with their Baron buff can't do anything with it.
When they get going, it's mid lane again.
Oh no, Lisa runs him down with a chem tank there. That's a two-man knockup from the Call of the Forge God, and adds insult to injury. Headbutt them into a wall, lights out.
Yeah, they're certainly looking to try and end this right now. They're engaging.
They certainly are, and as soon as they engage, they find blood. They take him down.